All right, today we're going to talk about Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, even though I know nothing about Jiu-Jitsu. I've fallen in a black hole on YouTube, as I normally do, and was watching a bunch of Jiu-Jitsu videos and interviews with guys who are instructors and trainers. And it's kind of interesting. There is a problem in jiu-jitsu, as there is in everything, which is that they have people come into the gym and you start out as a white belt and we'd like to get you to a blue belt after a year or 2 years, I guess. And 9 out of 10 people drop off because, well, for a variety of reasons. Partly because jiu-jitsu is very tough. When you come in, you're brand new. You're going to get beaten every day. If you roll with people who have been there longer than you, you're just going to get choked out over and over again. And that grind is very tough. Now, most people who are, pros, most people who are really good say that is the exact process that you need in order to become very good. And it's a little bit of survivorship bias, but the idea is that we want this to be hard so that way 10 years from now you'll be great. Like we want you to get through this difficult period in order to get better. And getting choked out a bunch is part of that process, and it's also part of the process of, our blue belts choke out white belts so that the blue belts, get better at choking people out, and so on. So everybody benefits, but the problem is you're going to turn a lot of people away as a result of things being difficult. And also people just quit things. People realize that this is not for me, and they quit for a variety of reasons. So the problem is, how do we get more people to go from white belts to blue belts, and blue belts to, purple and black belts, etc. So one response to this was to say, well, we'll make it easier for the white belts. White belts, when you don't know anything and then you have to roll, you have to fight with someone, it's very frustrating. It's hard, so we'll remove this process of just getting destroyed every day in the gym, and we'll let you progress to blue belt without a whole lot of grinding the way most gyms do it. And that's a valid approach. They get more people that stay on, they get more blue belts, and then more blue belts equals more black belts, and so on. And then more people come away with a good experience saying, hey, I enjoy this, and they participate. And then other schools look at that and say, we don't want any part of that. We want this to be as hard as possible because that's what we do. We want our guys, if you go up against our blue belts, they're going to beat all your blue belts. If you go up against our brown belts are better than your brown belts. And to take away that process of drowning for a year makes our guys softer, so we don't want that. And there's a little bit of controversy in that, and I think whichever side of the fence you fall on doesn't matter. But there is another way, and I think this idea applies to virtually everything. So if I'm trying to create more successful, I'm trying to get more beginners to be intermediates. If I focus on the thing that I do, so if I teach jiu-jitsu, I think, how do I adapt jiu-jitsu to teach it faster, to make people learn it faster? If I run a gym and I teach people to deadlift, if I'm a power lifter, I say, okay, how can I make people deadlift faster, better, stronger? via deadlifting. So I'm thinking about the thing that it is I do and how do I make that better in order to teach people to progress faster. And the reality is, if you're really good at that, there may be nothing that you can do to improve people's learning rates at the thing that you're teaching them. However, there may be this enormous gap outside of this narrow area that you focus on, that there can be huge gains which then carry over to that narrow area. So as an example, I was watching another video. A guy was talking about, he's like a 3rd or 4th degree black belt, and he says, I train people every single day, and he's rolling with guys every day, all day long, and the guy's in great shape, but he's like, I can't recover like I could when I was younger. Like even 2 or 3 years ago, I could do this at a greater volume than I can now. I can't work as hard as I could because I'm getting older. And I thought about that, and that's probably true. And it's probably also true that, this guy's not going to get better at arm locks than he already is. Like, he is as good as he's going to ever get at a whole lot of things that he does in jiu-jitsu. He might make a 1% increase in the speed in which he can choke you out. But the reality is, like, when you get to a very high level, there's only small improvements you can make. But that guy could probably sleep 20% better. He could probably spend more time in deep sleep. He could probably make his bedroom darker. He could probably eat 20% more protein. He can probably do all of these things that are outside that narrow field that would improve his rate and improve his fitness, and therefore his recovery, and therefore his jiu-jitsu. He could probably take those things to a level that were significantly better than when he was younger, so that even though he's older, he might be able to achieve better conditioning now and better recovery now than he could when he was younger. And then when you combine that with the level of expertise he has now, he could probably make gains now in the final result that are larger than he's made, but only if he makes those outside of the field that he specializes in. And we can take this concept and apply it to everything. So as an example, he might take his students and say, I can only teach you so fast how to do these moves, and it's going to depend on how much time you spend in the gym. But every Sunday I could teach you to prepare your meals. If you're fat, you're not going to be a black belt ever, but you're also not going to make blue belt very quickly. So, I can train you in the gym. I can run you to death in the gym. But maybe I could learn about training for fitness and learn, specificity, and I could learn heart rate variability, and I can learn all these things. And I could be a better trainer from that perspective rather than purely from rolling. And I could teach you to do meal prep on Sundays, and I could teach you to sleep better, and I can teach you to meditate, and I can do all these other things that will then get you from white belt to blue belt faster and help you get through that grind faster, so that maybe instead of 9 out of 10 guys dropping before they get to blue belt, maybe it's 7 out of 10, because I can do all of these other things to make that process easier that happen outside the gym. And you can apply this principle to business. You can apply this to anything. Like if you're a manager and you got to get your people to do XYZ, there's only so much you can do within this narrow field of, I send fucking emails and I fill out work papers. There are probably a whole lot of things that you can do to improve that don't exist within that narrow little piece of what you do all day. So that's just what I wanted to talk about today. Start thinking outside this, this tiny little thing that I do, and say, what other factors contribute to what I do, and how can I then systematize, measure, experiment, and then improve those things that I'm not necessarily an expert at, that influence my expertise, or that my expertise depends upon. So hopefully you guys like this. If you do, smash the like button and share this video with your friends. Thanks.